Hey you guys, it's been quite a while since my last replay recording, but here we are again, starting it back up. Today I have for you another Duke's Damnation overhaul replay, and it's going to be me on vampire accounts versus a Duke himself, the Duke himself on Bretonia, or as Paravon. And for Lords, we're going to have Manfred von Waldstein against the Fey Enchantress. For Manfred von Waldstein, we're going to have Master of the Black Arcs, Fate of Buna, Raised Dead, Van Hels's Dance Macabre, Invocation, and Gaze in the Gash. And of course, his Sword of Unholy Power and Master of Black Arcs. Black Arts. Now, for those who don't know about Dukes, we have, I'm not going to tell you everything, but there's a lot of it, because there is a lot that gets overhauled. Magic, everything you can think of. To be like in a more realistic vision. It's still fantasy, but there are still realistic aspects to it that he is changed around. So, and one of the things that gets changed is spells. There's no longer a lot of direct damage spells, there's very few, and they don't do much damage because, you know, it's a little, Duke wouldn't see it as all that fun for some players. And to be fair, a lot of people do not like the state of direct damage spells like Fate of Buna in vanilla. So, in this mod, he tries to change it to all of these spells to be more fun for the players who both are playing against it and using it, and they don't do as much damage. And along with that, they are also changed in the sense that he tries to match it to its lore. If it sounds cool thematically, then he can, or rather, how it sounds thematically, he'll try to adjust that spell to what it is described as. So for Fate of Buna, we have a big old debuff, but it provides that unit with Unbreakable. So even though that unit is taking severe debuffs, yes, 8 and 14 are very big debuffs in Duke's Damnations. Even just 3 or 4. Even though they're just debuffs, it's very powerful. It's not what some would compared to vanilla would say call powerful, but it's still powerful in its own right. But it does provide that unit with Unbreakable. So, you know, there's a little counterbalance with that. You should have to be careful with when you use it. Now, let me slow down. Put it down and slow down again. For the front line, we're going to have a bunch of zombies. And there are some units that are custom made, like the Carcass Wing. Very cool unit. My favorite units on vampire accounts. It is an Undead Dragon artillery unit. It shoots a Pestilent Breath as artillery. Very cool unit. I freaking love this unit. It's absolutely one of my favorites that he's made. It's awesome. It doesn't do that great in melee, but I mean, it has 50 melee attack and 30 melee defense. It's decent. You can hold its own for a little bit, especially considering how combat works in Duke's Damnations, where everything is a little slower. Things take much more longer to kill because of the hit rate overall is changed to be slower. Now, very cool unit there. Also, artillery in general is not that accurate. See, like how in this right here, couldn't even hit a zombie unit. This might hit one, but either way, I'm not going to go over all the changes, like I said. If you want to check out the mod, I'll link it in the description. Please do check it out. Duke is always very active with changing the balances, changing things, and constantly adding stuff. They are a very active mod maker. But we have some Skeleton Warriors, Grave Guards, Congenstein Stalkers, ROR, Skeleton ROR, and more Skeleton Warriors. We're going to have some Blood Knights, which got recently changed in the patch, buffed a little bit. Very, very powerful stats. 80 melee attack, 50 melee defense, 5 bonus versus large might not sound a lot, but again, in DDN, some things aren't as bonus versus large is powerful even at only 5. Some units aren't that specialized in counting large. Some are, so some will have a little bit more in terms of BVL, but those are only specialized units, very, very specialized units. Anyways, so I brought 2 Blood Knights because I wanted to see how they are with the new changes. I thought they were disappointing before in Duke's mod, but they very well paid for themselves in this replay, and I love them a lot in this. Um, my heavy cav has much lower models, much more lower models than Dukes, but it accounts for in ability scores. This isn't freaking D&D. Ability stats. Beasters in the Dusk. I brought them thinking that they were like the vanilla variant, but I didn't read. They don't have, I think it's stock. So, unfortunately, my opponent's going to see me try to flank with them, and it's not great. So, they're going to probably not serve very well, and I recall they don't serve very well, unfortunately. So, Dire Pack as well, the ROR version. They're going to have bonus versus large, very nice. 8 AP, not bad, not too shabby for a fast sweeper unit. And that is it, I believe, for the... Oh, and of course, some unholy lodestones, which are, of course, great, even still in this mod. I say a lot. Sorry about that. Moving on. Now, for the Bretonnian side, we're going to have 1, 2, 3 air units, one being the Royal Hippogryph Knights, which are an absolute tank, and rip and tear through this entire game. They are my absolute nightmare this entire game. You will see for yourself. We have one normal Pegasus Knight, and then we have a Royal Pegasus Knight. One thing to note is that for the Grail Relic, for the Grail Knight mounted units, they all have the Blessing of the Lady, a one-time use ability, which you can use throughout the game. That gives you pretty good damage buffs. I mean, that's 25% ward save for 30 seconds. That's very nice. The AP plus 3 isn't really much to take note of, but the 33 charge bonus is very nice, and it gives you magical attacks. Yes, all Grail Knight units do not have magic attacks at base. Actually, excuse me, I say that, but well, some do. The Royal Hippogryph Knights, which do have Grail Knights on them, do not have magic attacks. So some do, some don't. But when this ability procs, they will get it. And then the Royal Pegasus Knights do have ITP and Encourage for their local or for their friendly units. Same with the generic Pegasus Knights. While the Hippogryph Knights do not have ITP, they do still have Encourage. And one thing of note is that all of these units do have Divine Intervention. I believe. Okay, the Pegasus Knights don't. Just the Grow Knight versions, Cav and everything. Which means that a random effect can happen when these units are in combat. Just like as if the lady was helping them in combat. So it could be like a random lightning strike. It could be a random explosion around them to damage nearby units. It's very random. You can't rely on it, but it is very, very important to take note of when you're selecting these units. They may be expensive, but they are absolutely worth it with one, their stats, and two, just that fact that is possible to help them win combats. Now, for the rest of the army, we're going to have some Billman, another unit exclusive to his mod, and then some Men-at-Arms, which are, instead of the base game, they being sword units, they are mace infantry, which do have really good AP values, and they are shielded as well. I think their AP values are in it's pretty much all full AP. No, it's not. Excuse me, I'm wrong. 14, 13 still though. Very primarily AP because of maces. Spearmen at Arms. We're gonna have 1, 2, 3 of them, and another Billman. Then we're gonna have 2 Longbowmen, as opposed to the vanilla variant, which is just a short bow unit. They do still have that in the game, but Duke specifically created a longbow unit just for higher range, and because it fits the theme of Bretonnia. So we also have the Blessed Trebuchet, which remains the same. Mounted Squires, who have bonus versus large in this mod. And then we have some Knights of the Realm, which are more like bonus versus infantry in this. Very good against infantry this time. Shock heavy cav. Then we have some Knights of Corone, medium cav, AP primarily based cav, with ITP. Now, let's get back into the game. Get this started. We're gonna both start posturing, moving up. lady is gonna send in what did they cast? Oh, I did cast a very nice what was it? Excuse me, Gaze in the Gash on this Pegasus Knight, knocking out 6 models. Very nice. I believe the Carcass Wing tried to shoot at one of them, but absolutely missed. Maybe did a little damage to this, or maybe it was just damage hitting that as well. But immediately we're gonna have the Royal Hippogryph Knights charging in and attacking my Holy Lodestone. Revenants are going to pop up from the Holy Lodestone to try to help keep it in combat. Whoa, those sound effects are very loud. Sorry about that. Let me keep them pretty low. And then I'm going to send in some Blood Knights. Hopefully try to fend them off. Yep, screen them out. So the Holy Lodestone doesn't really take much damage. Just the Blessed Field Trebuchet shooting in my Blood Knights. They are doing a little bit of damage, but not too much yet. And the Royal Hippogryph Knights and Pegasus Knights are going to try to chase Manfred and, catch him and kill him early on. But luckily, I have my Blood Knights in here. They are helping a bit, especially with that Van Hels's Dance Macabre to increase their melee attack. And then I'm going to try to summon some zombie units and also bring my other Blood Knight unit over here to help keep Manfred alive. Then we're going to have these zombies starting to engage. Zombies are actually very powerful in Examination. You got to watch out for them. They have 40 melee attacks, so they can hit up, so they can really do damage to your low armored infantry units. Some more shots coming in from that Trebuchet. Gonna not really do too much damage. In terms of that engagement, it pretty much went better for the Duke because look at my Blood Knights. I mean, I can still resurrect models, but unfortunately I don't get many invocations off, if any at all, aside on Manfred in this game, foolishly. But normally that would have been a better trade for me because I could invocation them. So I do invocation them, but it doesn't last long, and I don't think I regenerate many. I think it's only for the upgraded invocation. I can't remember either way, but still much better trade for the Duke. So the Carcass Wing is going to be surrounded by Pegasus Knights. It's going to, like I said, it's going to hold its own in combat for a little bit while the Blood Knights get to it and try to save it, or rather screen out the Pegasus Knights. So they did successfully do their job, and the Carcass Wing barely took any damage, if at all. And of course, it's going to be regenerating from the Dead Rise. Knights of the Realm are going to charge into the Skeleton Warriors, do quite a bit of damage to him, but I'm also going to bring in the Blood Knights on this side to eventually come over there and help them out. Actually, I sent these over here too with the Van Hels's Dance Macabre, increasing their speed up to 90 to chase out these Knights of the Realm. And over on this infantry side, we're going to have the Congenstein Stalkers fighting it out with some peasants dueling it out. Actually, are they engaged in combat? They are not engaged with combat at the moment, but they are, there just in case they do get engaged. It says they are melee now. Okay, so they should be engaged. Knights of the Crown are just fighting skeleton. They can stay in sustained combat for a little bit, but they are primarily an AP unit, so I don't think they're really well used on the Skeleton Warriors. Even though they do have 70 armor, I'd probably much rather have them be chasing the Blood Knights, which I do believe the Duke will turn them around eventually to do so. The Carcass Wing is going to get a nice shot on the Pegasus Knights. They're down to 28 models, pretty decent damage on them. It's not going to it doesn't have many kills, only 6 at the moment, but it does have 850 damage and value, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, unfortunately, but it is doing this damage specifically to their high value units. So it's going to get surrounded by, I think I'm going to bring in some these Blood Knights over here to help. I don't know what I was doing with them over here, but I'm going to bring them over to help. And then along with the other infantry engagements, we're going to have these zombies fighting through these men-at-arms. Men-at-arms have taken a bit of losses, but they eventually will win that fight. I'm going to send the Grave Guard up, try to hit these longbowmen so they can stop getting free damage. These zombies are going to be fighting these other spearmen. Same over here as well. Overall, this engagement is doing somewhat okay for me, specifically because I am fighting his billmen and men-at-arms and keeping them occupied from coming over here to fight. And not only that, but the Unholy Lodestone will come over here and make sure this battle stabilizes fairly quickly. Grave Guard would normally be doing much better, but the fact that there's an AP-based unit here fighting through their armor It's going to make it a much easier, better fight for them rather than the Graveguard, but they will hold their own thanks to the Unholy Lodestone. Now, these Blood Knights are going to come over here. I was wrong about them turning that way. They're going to come over here and start charging and try to get Manfred out of this really bad situation here. He is surrounded by Royal Pegasus Knights and Royal Hippogryph Knights, which is really bad for me. I think I tried pulling him out a bit, but at this point, he's very stuck in there thanks to the Hippogryph Knights, and Manfred is taking a lot of damage. I tried throwing an Invocation of Heck on him, but it's just really not going good for me here. These Revenants are not going to be helping either. Duke is making sure they stay on top of Manfred, and that is a really bad loss for me. Manfred is going to be going down, or being chased off, rather. But on this engagement, the Blood Knights are doing fairly well for me. They are fighting against these Knights of the Realm, who are a bonus versus infantry cav, and then they will proceed to get Knights of the Crown charge in the back. But one thing to note is that, again, the Knights of the Crown are a medium cavalry with mostly AP, and aren't specialized in taking down other cav. So these Blood Knights may be surrounded at the moment, but they have the Flag of Bloodkeep, which gives them that 0.2% heal, and freeze vigor. While these guys, Knights of the Crown, are very tired, and same with these Knights of the Realm. They're very, very tired. So normally, I think this engagement would go much better for them, but simply because it's 2v1, even if they're not specialized in bonus versus large. But that keeping the Blood Knights active, and while they're tired, is going to solely win me that fight. Manfred is unfortunately being chased off by Royal Pegasus Knights, which really, really sucks for me. But you know, what can I do? I tried to bring these Blood Knights over here to try to save them, but it's just too late. I should have turned them around and brought them back over here to screen out these Royal Hippogryphs. Overall, this engagement is still... I'm getting surrounded by Spearmen at Arms, but they're still holding still because Duke hasn't noticed my Unholy Lodestone. So that's keeping them very much well in the fight, much longer than they normally would. Faye hasn't done too much. She isn't not really the DPS Mortis engine like she is in a vanilla game. He's using him more like a buff support lord. Spellcaster. Arcus Wing is unfortunately being attacked by Pegasus Knights again, but we have some Revenants over here to try to screen them out again. Unfortunately, the Carcass Wing is still only at 16, still at very low kills, but it is again shooting at mostly high value targets. It's going to try to take a shot in at these Pegasus Knights. Let's see if it'll hit a shot. Nope, it goes... Oh, no, okay, it's shooting at the... Yes, I started shooting at the cav over here, and it just does fairly badly, unfortunately, because it's just having a really bad issue hitting these units over here on this hill. And again, the Blood Knights gets charged by these Pegasus Knights, who are exhausted, so this is going to be very bad for Duke. This is going to be a very bad trade for them. The Blood Knights are going to trade extremely well into these guys, even 1v3. So I'm going to love that engagement, but overall, this is going to go really badly for me simply because I lost Manfred so early on. And so I'm not going to be able to hold my Blood Knights or my infantry units at all this game anymore. It really, really sucks. And then the Blood Knights get charged by the Royal Hippogryph Knights, which have, again, been an absolute menace for me this entire freaking game. These guys in their AP values and their super freaking mass are just absolutely deleting my units. They also got, I think they got the Blessing of the Fae just recently as well, which was very troubling. Favor of the Fae, which gave them magical attacks and minus... So they're back to fresh vigor. No, they're winded, but they have been getting vigor buffs this entire game, getting refreshed and not getting tired or exhausted. So they're able to take down those Blood Knights no problem, who are, I think... They are fresh, but they were very at that point low model count and didn't get the charge off as opposed to Royal Hippogryph Knights. And at that point, losing those Blood Knights is really going to just spell a big loss for me at this. I mean, it's going to spell a loss for me at this point because my Carcass Wing isn't as performing as it should. It's going to try to shoot in. It's tried to shoot into these Spearmen, but didn't do any damage. Now it's going to get charged in by these Hippogryph Knights. And again, it's going to hold its own for a little bit, but these Hippogryph Knights are going to eventually dumpster this thing. Like, look at the damage it's already piling up. This Carcass Wing is not going to like this. The Blood Knights are coming over, trying to help out, but at this point, they're going to be able to just run away and recharge again at a later time and fight a different engagement. That is a thing with the Duke. He has, or rather, his air support. His air units are able to just choose their own engagements, and I'm not. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to constantly try to swing back and forth, catch those Hippogryph Knights off guard, and it's not working out for me, unfortunately. The Feasters of the in the Dusk are going to try to come back. They were fighting earlier with something, I can't remember. I think they were fighting these plus trebuchets, and then something engaged with it, and pretty much really ruined them. In terms, as you can see, they only have 48 models left, but eventually they are going to get this freaking trebuchet down. This trebuchet has just been shooting randomly at my high value units. My Blood Knights have taken a few model losses just from that freaking Blessed Trebuchet, which is still shooting, by the way, because not all of the crew is engaged with those Feasters of the Dusk, so it's still able to shoot. And I think they take off another model or two here on my Blood Knights, which is really not great, again, because I have no Manfred. I'm not getting any heals, so those models are not coming back. Are not going to be coming back at all. When does that? I swear I saw. So I charge into Faye. See, maybe I can get a pick on her really quick. Maybe Duke isn't noticing, but Duke notices, pulls Faye out, and of course she has the Blessing of the Lady, so she's gonna have the 30% ward save against the Blood Knights. And not only that, she's much faster than the Blood Knights, but them being, heavy cav, and now they're very tired at this point. So, and then I lose a few more models right there. That really sucks for me, and yeah, that just spells the unfortunate loss for me. I tried to get in a shot with the Carcass Wing on the Fae, but there's nothing else I can really do against these absolute menace of Pegasus Knights and Royal Hippogryph Knights. At this point, it's just going to spell game for me, and it'll be going to the Duke. Once again, I cannot beat the Duke. I have another match after this with him, which, again, goes in Duke's favor, but it is much closer than this one. I don't lose my... I think, no, actually, I do lose my Lord early, but somehow it ends up even closer. This is still a very good match, though. Duke is a very solid player in his own mod. No surprise there. Look at the Kongenstein Stalkers just chewing away at these freaking Billmen, fighting to the death. And I'm pretty sure they would have still kept fighting even longer after that if the match had kept going. But I bowed out there, gave Duke the win. So for value wise, we're going to have for the Blood Knights 138 kills with 2200 value, very nice. Even 1800 value still on the Blood Knights. These are the Blood Knights which got ratted off early with only 6 kills, but that's still 1800 value. I think that pays for themselves. I can't remember what the actual price is on them, but I'm pretty sure that pays for themselves, if not close to. Carcass Wing, only 40 kills, unfortunately, 5300 damaged. I mean, it's done better for me some games, but overall, you can't expect too much from artillery. They're support units. That's how Duke would describe them. They're not going to be these heavy hitter units that will delete infantry units anymore, or range units anymore, like compared to vanilla game. I have to lower my expectations. I wish it landed more of its shots, but sometimes our artillery can be finicky in this game, even in the overhaul. Like, that's just not something Duke can work on. Sometimes there are, even if he buffs their accuracy, they'll still sometimes miss, just because sometimes projectiles are finicky, etc. Anywho, so a little bit disappointed, but no big deal. Graveguard, 236 skills. They did well. They're just fighting peasants mostly. Even against high AP units like the men at arms, they still did fairly well. They have very nice melee defense and melee attack. Stalwart holding unit, just like the Kongenstein Stalkers, who got 188 kills. Very good unit. I love this unit for the vampire counts in Duke's mod. Base game, it's just a little stat increase. It's not really anything. But I love them much better in this. They are absolutely stalwart. They hold the line as if they were their own grave guard. Pieces in the dust, misplayed them. Same with the dire pack. I sent them in too early on the artillery, and they got chewed apart by what were they? Mounted squires. Now for the rest, we have the Duke. For Faye, 93 value. Again, support unit. Didn't really do much damage. Just did healing and that type of support, buffing support, which won't be able to be calculated in value numbers. And one thing of note, that is very important to note is that sometimes these value numbers aren't calculated correctly in Duke's mod. It's just how it is sometimes. Have no reason why, um, but I've been told that by Duke and other members of the community. Oh, I forgot to mention 1,400 value Manfred, but still didn't really pay for himself. He's like 2,800, maybe 3,000 with everything I had. So definitely did not pay for himself, and I did not lose him that early. That was very bad. 2,700 value on the Royal Pegasus Knights. The normal Pegasus Knights kind of got dumpstered, but that's fine because the Duke had, of course, the Hippogryph Knights, which paid for themselves twice over, I believe, at 5,400 value. Very nice. And they were, and still look how healthy they are. Healthy they are. Like these guys still had much more to bring to the battlefield. So him losing these generic Pegasus Knights was not a big deal. Knights of Crone didn't do all that well. Crone, Knights of the Realm as well. Again, they were fighting specialized anti-large calf, and they were very tired as well. Nothing else too special. Again, like the artillery doesn't have that much value, but it did a very important job of knocking out models from my Blood Knights, and probably hitting other stuff, but mostly my Blood Knights, which is very important. Those models are very important when I have no Lord to resurrect them. Those models, so he had the right priority targeting. Mounted Squires, 1,000 value, very nice for a very cheap light cav. Billman did fantastic. You know, peasants. You're not gonna see peasants with this many kills in vanilla unless they're fighting like Skaven slaves or maybe orc laborers or something, or not orc laborers, goblin laborers. But usually then they rout before that, and here they're more stalwart. But yeah, overall, really great match. Even with my blunder, I definitely need to keep playing vampire counts more, figure out how I can counteract these. This an air force like this. Maybe bring more Vargeis. I bring some next game, but they don't. I don't know. Duke doesn't bring that much of an air force next game, so I don't know. You need to keep playing this matchup. I'll see what I can do. The goose is not a good pick as opposed to the vanilla, which has a bonus for its large. Even then, it's not that good in vanilla anymore compared to like Warhammer 2 and Warhammer 1. So I need to find another option. I'll just keep grinding these games. Thank you for watching. Duke's mod will be in the description, and check it out. Definitely check it out. They're a very nice community there, willing to learn, willing to help you learn. And Duke himself is a very cool guy himself, so definitely check it out whenever you have the chance. And thank you for watching. Bye bye.